task 1, we'll be discussing types of questions that come in IELTS writing task 1. So questions that come in IELTS writing task 1 are line graph, bar graph, pie charts, diagram, tables, flow charts, pictorial of maps. So today we're going to talk about pie charts. Right, let's see how we approach a particular pie chart and how to achieve a 9-band answer in pie charts for writing task 1 IELTS. Alright, uh, let's look at the question. The question says uh, you should spend about 20 minutes on this task. The pie graphs below show the result of a survey of children's activities. The first graph shows the cultural and leisure activities that boys participate in, whereas the second graph shows the activities in which the girls participate. Write a report describing the information shown in the two pie graphs. Write at least 150 words. So you can see that there are two pie charts, pie chart 1, pie chart 2. So we can list it as pie chart 1 and pie chart 2. So as you can see, in the first pie chart, it talks about the boys' cultural leisure activities, whereas the second pie chart, it talks about the girls' culture and leisure activities. So there are two pie charts. What we have to do is we have to write a report describing the information shown in two pie graphs, and the words are 150 words. Right, so let's move on to the next part. All right, so when we look at the figure, when we look at the two pie charts, we can see that it has different parameters or different activities having to look at. For example, if I take this pie chart, when we talk about the boys' culture and leisure activities, we can see that both the pie charts have similar activities. For example, listening to music, reading, computer games. Boys boys also listen to music, read, and are involved in computer games. Whereas when we look at the girls, here again the same. They both like to listen to music, play computer games, and read. So you can see that the percentages of listening to music are approximately the same. When it comes to computer games, girls like to play computer games, but yes, not more than boys who play at 34%. The girls are good at reading. They like to read more, so they have 21% of reading. Whereas guys, they just reported 2% of reading. So you can see there are lots and lots of similar activities happening. When we talk about the other part, which is when you look at the pie chart, there are certain activities that boys do individually, uniquely, and girls do uniquely. So let us look at those activities. The first one you can see is the boys like to play basketball, which is not there. Girls prefer gymnastics. Guys like to play, or boys like to play soccer, or when we talk about British language, football. So guys are more into soccer, girls are more into dancing. Guys like to skateboard, girls like netball. So there are different activities happening here. So when we go forward, we are going to discuss both the activities. Okay. Now let's write the similar and dissimilar different activities of boys and girls. So you can see that I've made a table here where I've listed two parameters. First is I'm going to talk about the similar of boys and girls, and then different like we did in the past. So boys and girls, they both like listening to music, reading, playing computer games. Whereas when we talk about the different activities, boys are more involved with basketball, soccer, skateboarding, and girls are more involved with dancing, netball, playing netball, and gymnastics. So this is a good way of planning your writing task one when it comes to your pie charts or your line graphs. When you have two line graphs, two bar graphs, this is one of the best ways you can practice, and it'll just take a minute or two to make that table up, but it'll ease your point and you'll get much better understanding of your pie charts or your graph or writing task one. Now, since we've listed the similar and different activities of the boys, we are going to look at the structure of how to write a writing task one pie chart IELTS. Okay, so here's the structure for pie chart writing task one. So the first thing we do is we introduce our topic. The second is we give an overview of what this pie chart is all about. The third is we write. It could include paragraph 3 as well if you want to, but if you have two pie charts, it's always better to describe a pie chart in one paragraph. That way it is easier for you to write as well as easier for the examiner or invigilator to understand what you're trying to say. Okay, now let's look at the next part, introduction part. So you can see I've listed, let's look at the question here. The question here says the pie graphs below show the result of a survey of children's activities. The first graph shows the cultural and leisure activities that boys participate in, whereas the second graph shows the activities in which the girls participate. So what we've done is, the first step we'll be doing is we'll be paraphrasing the question. So what I've done is, instead of the pie graphs, I've written the two pie charts, as you can see here. Right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm paraphrasing those question, exact question. I am not trying to write the same thing. Do not write, I'm sorry for rewriting, the same question. Alright? Okay. So now instead of the pie graphs, what I've done is I've written the two pie charts. Okay? Now let's look at the second part. And now instead of shows, what I've done is I've written draws. It is a different word. It is basically a verb, so I've used a synonym of the verb. Instead of show, I've written draws. Now, when it comes to the result of the survey of children's activities, what I've done is, instead of the conclusion, result, I've written conclusion. As you can say, conclusion of a survey of children's. Instead of children's, I've used some information from the pie chart. I've used boys and girls. Now activities, instead of writing activities, I've picked again the same thing from the pie charts, the information from the pie chart. I've written cultural and leisure activities, so I've added a word here. So you can see that it's easy to paraphrase a question unless and until you're trying to work out what's happening. Right? Now let's move on to the next part, which is writing an overview. Now how do you write an overview?